is when my son was born. That took up a lot more time. I'd get home from school, and so I'd be up with him all night and until he fell asleep. And I'd try to get schoolwork done during that time. You know, Friday night, get off work, go to a gig, come back, do it all over again.
Yes. Welcome. Another episode of Functional Conversations brought to you by The Function. I'm your host, DJ Shaky. Today on the show, we have a good friend of mine, DJ, representing LA by way of Dallas. Please welcome DJ NVS.
What up?
Oh, wait, hold on. You can't forget to hit one of these. Well, you know, we kind of talked about what this was beforehand, so we'll just jump right into it. We'll start off with some of the typical stuff. Let's talk about where you got your start. Like, you know, on the DJ side, of course.
Yeah. You know, back in Oxnard, like most of us back in high school, just hanging out with a bunch of guys that were already doing it. Actually, one of my really good friends, we used to go to a lot of raves, and his cousin was a DJ. Used to go by DJ BB out in Oxnard. He's still DJing. Funny enough, he's still out there DJing in Oxnard, and now he goes by Depeche Mode because his last name.
That's his DJ name now?
Yeah, because his last name is Pech, P-E-C-H,
okay.
So he changed his DJ name to Depeche Mode.
Does he listen to a lot of Depeche Mode?
He actually loves like 80s, like synthwave and all that. Like,
okay,
that's like one of his favorite genres. But yeah, so just started hanging out with them. With him, a bunch of other DJs. Started DJing with around the same time as Kid Spin from DJ City Beat Source. Mm-hmm. We used to practice at his house a lot. I became really good friends with one of the promoters out there. He used to go by Playboy. Every time I'd record my practices, I'd just give him a copy. And finally, one day he was just like, "You want to just open at my party this weekend?" And that's kind of where it all started taking off, where I started getting a little more gigs, doing house parties and stuff.
So when you started, did you even have any of your own gear?
So when I first really started trying to learn and didn't really get too far, I was using CD players.
Okay.
A friend of mine's dad had those first rack mount CD players with the pitch control and like all the buttons, but the CD actual trays were like down below.
Yeah.
But he had a set of those. So whenever I was over there, I'd use them for, maybe 30 minutes, an hour, just trying to learn. Didn't really get the hang of it that way.
It looks like that Hercules Starlight now. The little controller I put in your backpack.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Looks just like that, except it was connected to a CJs.
Yeah. So you were practicing and trying to learn on that. When did you finally actually get your own stuff at your house, get your own gear so you could practice?
I think I was about 15 when I was doing that. Around 16, I was like, you know what? I want turntables. My mom's cousin, technically my uncle, I guess, he had a studio, and he used to use, he had a 1200 that he would use just to record old vinyl. He just happened to be wanting to get rid of it, so he sold it to me. And I had already been practicing by then with, again, with Kid Spin, with another mutual friend's equipment. Bought that turntable. Another old friend of our family's gave me a belt-driven, like, old school Sony turntable with like a dial pitch knob.
Right.
Somebody else gave me, those realistic mixers everybody posts. Well, he gave me a Newmark version. He gave me a Newmark version of that. I started practicing on that. Got pretty good at beat matching on those two. I don't know how many of you remember Pro Sound Stage and Lighting.
Of course.
I bought me a Gemini mixer, that old 626 3-channel mixer.
Okay.
I just would borrow somebody else's turntable when it came to doing house parties. Like, I just borrow another turntable from a DJ that wasn't playing that night or something.
So when you bought stuff, you were in high school, right? How did you afford to buy it?
My stepdad, like I said, music family. My stepdad was in a band. They broke up when I was young. He kept all the speakers, and he just decided to start like just playing, wedding DJ basically for weddings, quinceaneras and stuff like that.
Okay.
And backyard house parties for, Mexicans. He actually used to pay me at first when I was playing baseball back when I was like in elementary school. He used to pay me to just pass out his business cards at like parks and stuff.
That's cool.
That's how I would get my batting gloves and, you know, my baseball mitts and all that. Eventually,
So
I just started helping.
he made you buy your own baseball gear.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
He would make me work for it, yeah.
Okay.
Eventually, he started having me help him set up, you know, all the speakers and everything and tear down for quinceaneras and weddings. And that's how I would make my money. He would pay me that way, and I just saved up. I gave my uncle half the money for the turntable, and the other half, he just made me promise to DJ his son's middle school graduation party.
Okay.
So we worked out a deal where I gave him half the money, and then the other half I worked off, basically.
So basically, you were earning money through quote unquote other jobs.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I mean, basically earning money any way I could. Like, I mean, even before there was like eBay stuff, like me and my cousin used to do. One of my cousins used to do whatever we can think of to try to make money. Like we, you know, recycle stuff. We'd go. One time we thought of this bright idea to go dumpster diving at Kmart, pull out a bunch of books they threw out, and we literally just sold them in front of my grandma's house.
That's funny.
Yeah,
that's the little kid hustle right there.
Oh yeah. I was trying to make money to buy that next toy.
And this is all still in Oxnard.
Yeah. This was all still in Oxnard.
Okay. When you became, I guess, a quote unquote professional DJ and you were actually earning money off of it, were you still out in Oxnard?
Yeah. I mean, I was making money. I wasn't doing it for a living yet. I mean, I was still making money DJing, you know, house parties, and then going out to DJ, you know, DJing the random rave here and there in the 805. And then every week or every couple of weeks go out to Goleta to DJ a bar out there called Alex's Cantina. You know, a bunch of UCSB students. And I definitely shouldn't have been in there, though. Obviously, I was 16, 17 years old.
Right.
But, you know, we've all been there.
Yeah.
And then DJing at a club in Oxnard, too. They used to do it was a Mexican club, but on Wednesday nights they would do it was just all like house. It was all house music, so that's how I got into it, making very little money doing that, obviously. I had a day job that I used for everything else, and my DJ money basically just went right back into it to buy more records.
Right. What was your day job at the time?
I was working at a place where we made water ski handles. So I would tie rope all day, literally tying rope all day.
Okay.
For 8 hours.
Does that help with the crab scratches?
I wish. Like, there was one handle we had to make for wakeboarding where, like, by the end of the day, it hurt to grab the steering wheel to drive home.
Dang.
Because your hands, you had to pull the rope so tight, like hold it really tight the whole time, and you were braiding it by hand. So it was just like the end of the day, your hands would just be like hurting. Yeah,
and then so definitely back then, all your DJ money goes back to buying records, more gear.
Yeah, pretty much. Like every Saturday, almost wake up, drive from Oxnard to Hollywood, go to DMC Records and Beat Nonstop and Street Sound and all that. Yeah. Go to all those spots. And
so would you count your first DJ checks working with was it your uncle or on your own?
Technically it was with my stepdad, because even then, like, I would, especially quinceaneras, whenever they wanted like English music, you know, around that time it was everyone over here house music, you know, in like the 90s, mid 90s. So quinceaneras, I would be the one that would play the music. Yeah. Just so he would pay me a little more once I started doing that.
Right.
So I figured those were that was really the first time I started getting paid to DJ. My first decent money was from a house party.
So I never did any raves and stuff like that back then. What was a rave check looking like?
I mean, rave checks, you know, you DJ an hour with like 6 other dudes. You know, everybody did their hour, multiple rooms. So you get maybe $100 for that 1 hour. So
like a club, or
get $100 for the hour, and then maybe get a few of your friends in.
Okay. Yeah, it's like doing a club or a house party.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
So, all right, let's say you move past those raves. What's the next step in your DJ journey?
Well, that was, I mean, it basically kind of came to a halt when I left Oxnard and moved to Dallas. I basically had to start all over. You know, new city, didn't really know anybody. Didn't know anybody in the scene at all. So it just kind of involved going out a lot. I mean, I remember the first time I went out and even tried to talk to a DJ at a club. Went out there, talked to the opener. I was like, hey, man, if somebody wanted to come in, do a guest spot, opener set or something, who would I talk to submit a demo to? The guy looked at me, like literally looked me up and down like he was judging me. He's like, we only hire headliners here. All right. And, of course, me not wanting him to be so, for lack of a better term, such an asshole.
Right.
I just kind of looked at him and I was like, so who are you? And he introduced himself to me and I'm like, you're local? He's like, yeah. That's why I never heard of you. And I walked off. And then, fast forward a few years later and I had a residency there.
Right. And he's just being a doctor.
Yeah. Not DJing anymore. Still being a doctor, still making more money than me, but
making more money than DJs, probably most DJs.
Yeah.
So when you moved, what came with you? Any gear came with you? Records?
Yeah. So the girl I was with at the time, she moved maybe an hour north of Dallas, and I moved to Dallas. So she, we moved in her little, I think it was a Prism. So we couldn't fit my records.
Yeah.
I remember distinctly how much it was. It was $300 with UPS to ship my records. And at that time I didn't have like a whole lot. I mean, I had a lot, but not, I had maybe like 5-6 crates of like all out. And so shipping those was like $300 in one giant box.
So pretty much when you started over, you were starting over as far as trying to get gigs.
Yeah. It was one of those, like, just basically trying to build a network again from the beginning,
right. And then did you move out there with a job already?
No. When I moved out here, I was making a little bit of money because one of the house labels, one of the local hard house labels in LA was one of the guys that I used to DJ with in Goleta. He started his own label and he needed somebody to help, sell records out of LA. I would go, from I would drive around store to store selling records, and I'd get a couple bucks per record.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's how I was making money for the first month or so that I was in Dallas.
It's like grassroots distribution.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Essentially just going. So you were selling like, here's 5 records to the record shop, and then they just.
Well, no. So I'd walk into the record store with like 4 different releases. They had like 4 or 5 different releases, play them on, and they'd say, okay, I want 5 of this one. I want 10 of this one. You know what? Let me only get like 2 or 3 of this one. And then I'd submit the order. They'd ship them to me. I'd collect payment, drop them off, and then that's it. Yeah.
Oh, so it was 2 trips. Is 2 trips per sale, pretty much.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Listen and deliver. Okay.
Yeah.
That's like some salespeople shit.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I finally ended up getting a job with my brother-in-law at a metal framing plant, like making like steel studs for houses and commercial buildings.
Oh. Now, are you doing both at this point?
Yeah. When I started there, I was working Monday through Thursday. I was part-time for like maybe 4 months. And then I went full-time, but I still had my Friday and Saturdays free. So, Saturdays and Sundays free. So that's when I would go drive around the stores. And also I didn't work until, I used to go in at like 3 p.m. I worked second shift. So I'd go 3 p.m. I think till like 11 or 12, come back home, get ready, go to work. So yeah, I was basically trying to do whatever I could.
At some point, though, the record shops know you, right? So you don't have to explain yourself every time. You kind of just come in, show them what you got.
Yeah. Just come in, talk to them, be like, hey, I got a new one, play it for them. And then they tell me if they want any more or if they just want to reorder other ones.
It's kind of like the record label reps who show up to the radio station.
Yes.
Like, here's the song, add this in rotation type of deal.
Yeah. Basically just working the records. That actually helped me because I ended up building relationships with, record stores used to hire DJs. So built relationships with some of the DJs at some of the record stores, specifically the one closest to my house. Because after a while, I'd just go and once I kind of, the whole like distribution thing kind of slowed down, I would just kind of go hang out there. And they started asking my opinion, on like, well, one day randomly, one of the guys was just like, hey, we have a party tonight. One of our DJs dropped out. You want to play? Like, all right. Yeah. And that's kind of how I got started again back here.
Right.
But that took almost a year of like going out whenever I had a chance, playing again, just going around all the different record stores while distributing records and just building relationships with everyone.
I mean, a year's not too bad, right? So that's like the typical DJ struggle where you're trying to DJ, you're still working in a day job. I don't even want to call it the struggle. It's more like the typical DJ hustle, right?
Yeah.
You're kind of doing what you can. Is there a point where you realized, oh, I'm doing well enough that I could just DJ now? Or was it kind of a slow build up?
It was a slow build up, but there was a moment where it was just like, okay, I think I can do this for a living now. I ended up working at that record store, and then they opened a new location and made me assistant manager there. So that kind of helped me get more gigs too, even though they weren't the most glamorous gigs. They were like, little rundown clubs with, and a lot of it was through this community radio station out here that used to do a lot of fundraisers, like all age fundraiser events. So it was just a bunch of little raver kids, At this point, I'm 21, 22, DJing for like all age events. But like I said, I was working at the record shop like full time. I quit the metal framing plant. And at first I was just working Fridays, closing up on Fridays, and then every other Sunday. But I was also working at a car like radiator, like distribution company, like driving around delivering radiators to all these shops, like muffler shops, radiator shops, like just a bunch of mechanics just dropping off radiators that they ordered. From just hanging out at the store to getting hired, working 2 days a week, they opened the new location for the store, and they asked me to go be assistant manager. And they asked me to do basically order all their dance music. They liked the fact that, when I would suggest things to order, they would sell really well. So they would just like, okay, well, just come over here, because that was going to be their distribution center for all the stores. And like, just come here, order all our dance music, be assistant manager, we'll put you on salary, and you can still do, DJ and do your thing, whenever you need to. I worked there for a year. They ended up getting into a little trouble with the RIAA.
Okay.
That's around the time that I left. For a while, we were also just doing a lot of distribution for, I don't know if you're familiar with Southwest Distribution. They were basically like the go-to for a bunch of like shops. A bunch of labels would go through them. Even small labels would go through them for distribution. We're more like a hub for them, like a go-between between like California and the East Coast, because a lot of stores in Florida and New York that would order from us, and it would go through that. It would go through Southwest Distribution, but they would call us for it. Maybe close to the end of working there, I met my son's mom, and then ended up leaving there when they got into trouble. They're like, "Yep, I don't want to be a part of this. I don't want them to think I had anything to do with this stuff." They got caught bootlegging.
Yeah.
They don't want to go work retail for a while.
Oh yeah. But
yeah,
we're at just like a clothing shop, or
I went to. I was technically already in retail, but I went to work at Banana Republic.
Banana Republic. Okay.
Yeah, I went to work at Banana Republic, right down the street from SMU, Southern Methodist University, which is basically Texas or Dallas's like Pepperdine.
Okay.
Private school.
Right.
Private school, bunch of privileged kids that think they can do whatever they want.
Mm-hmm.
So had to deal with those kind of customers at Banana Republic. Banana Republic already the clientele of Banana Republic is already kind of
Yeah.
like that kind.
Yeah.
So yeah, I left. I worked there for a while. Then I was like, you know what? I think I need to go back to school. And so I decided to go back to school. Went back for my I just got my associates in a degree that I have not used since I left school and did my internship. I went and got it. Yeah, I went and got an associate's in computer science and web design. Only used it for about 6 weeks to do my internship and to win a web design contest for some like local cake company. And that was it. And at one point, right before my son was born, I went to work at UPS for a while. I was working at Banana Republic. I cut down on hours at Banana Republic. Was only working weekends at Banana Republic and was working UPS Monday through Thursday.
Monday through Thursday, UPS, weekends, Banana Republic, and still DJing? Or did you take a pause on that?
I would DJ every once in a while, but I was going to school at the time too. I was going to school at night. So I was going to school till like 11, 10 or 11. And then a few months into going to school is when my son was born. That took up a lot more time. Like I'd get home from school and his mom would be going to sleep because she had to work in the morning. And so I'd be up with him all night and until he fell asleep. And I'd try to get schoolwork done during that time. And then whenever, like weekends, if I was at Banana Republic, Friday night, get off work, go to a gig, come back, do it all over again.
This is kind of a point where we kind of figured, how do you handle a work-life balance? Or did you even do that, considering school, work, gigs?
It got a little easier once I finished school.
Okay.
The whole reason I went to work for UPS was because they offered tuition reimbursement, but they kind of lied to me. They came to my school and were recruiting, and I asked the rep, I was like, do you guys offer tuition reimbursement if it's a student loan or if you're paying directly to the school? And I was told both. I just had to make it through my 30-day probation and training. So when it came time, I went to HR to start the process for the tuition reimbursement. And I was told that I couldn't get reimbursed because I had taken out student loans. So that's when I decided to quit. And that was literally like right before my son was born. So, and it actually got really, really tough around the time that he was first born. Cause I was at school, had to leave school a couple times for false labor. I'd go to work and have to like leave too. Cause if he was sick, I had to leave work quick. So I started missing a lot of school. Ended up losing my job at Banana Republic.
Did you call off too much? Is that what that was? Or?
Yeah. I ended up calling off too much because he would get sick or we didn't have somebody to watch him while his mom was going to work. And if I had to go to work, there was nobody to watch him. I ended up, funny enough, meeting another DJ through my son's mom's job where she worked. They worked together. He was trying to start an after hours. Actually, there was two DJs. One of them already had like a few spots that he did after hours at. So I went around, checked them out. And then one of the other guys was like, I had a venue approach me and they want to do something. And they used the venue during the day, but at night, overnight, they said we can do whatever we want. Like, I want to do an after hour spot. So I helped him get all that set up. I used to DJ there every week. While I wasn't DJing there, I would work the door, charge people, just charging people to get in, checking IDs. Yeah, I was there, man, till like 6 a.m. every Friday and Saturday night. Still didn't make a whole lot, but there was somehow still enough to be able to pay some bills,
So how long were you on the hustle, do you think, before you got to make that conversion of just DJing?
Just a bunch of sales jobs up until about 2000, I think it was like 2007, 2006, 2007, maybe 2008.
So you had more sales jobs outside of Banana Republic?
Yeah. When I left Banana Republic, I was doing the after hours thing for a while. My son's mom was making more money. She was just like, all right, well, during the week, just watch him and DJ on the weekends and go to school. So when her and I split, I ended up getting a job at CompUSA. Did CompUSA for about a year. Recruited by T-Mobile. Did that for about a year. Passed up for the same promotion twice. So that's when I was like, all right, I think I need to leave here. Leaving there, I ended up going a step down and went to work at Nordstrom selling shoes. Probably the worst. Yeah, probably the worst job I've ever had.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, my manager and I did not get along at all. I mean, it was to the point where like he was about to fire me, called me into the HR to like a private meeting room and was like, so here's the deal. I don't think selling shoes is for you. I was like, you know what? You're right. I think we should just go ahead and part ways here. He just kind of looked at me shocked, like, wait, like I was supposed to say that after he got over the initial shock. He's just like, you know, I think that's the best thing. But at that time, I had just started at a new spot. I was DJing with a friend of mine. They had been open for a couple months. We were originally in talks with management about DJing there before they even opened. They ended up going with somebody else. Crowd didn't like them. So they brought somebody else in. Crowd didn't like them. And it's not that they played bad music. They're really good DJs, just not good for that crowd. It was bottle service.
Right.
He was more of like a bar, like, you know, B-boy kind of type of stuff.
Yeah.
And, you know, they called my friend and I in, and first night, had a line down the street, still at 1:45, and the club closed at 2. You know, they paid us, you know, we split the $300 that they were paying the other guy. After a couple weeks, which is right before I left Nordstrom, management comes up and he ended up giving us each a check for $200. Like, we're just going to go ahead and give you guys $400 for the night from now on. You guys have been doing a great job. People show up early and they stay all night. They spend a lot of money. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Yes.
So it was that. And then from there, a lot of other club owners would come in and, you know, they'd like, hey, you know, you want to come DJ my spot? Or promoters would be like, hey, I'm doing this event. You know, I want you to come do exactly what you do here. Just, you know, come do it over there. So, and at that time, that's when I was able to really start telling, you know, more dictating how much I got paid instead of them telling me, hey, we can give you this much. It was more of how much do you want to get paid?
So is that pretty much the point where you pretty much just, I'm just going to DJ now?
Yeah. Once I left Nordstrom, that was it. That was the last, like, I guess, quote unquote, normal job I had. From then on, it's just been DJing ever since. So
when it comes to DJing, especially, and I find this interesting too, and then correct me if I'm wrong, but I know outside of LA and outside of New York and outside of major cities, a lot of DJs get paid a little more, and also cost of living is cheaper. So do you find that helps?
You know, here's the thing. Because, you know, I did a little bit of the traveling to DJ too. Not necessarily outside of your like your city. Well, here it's more like, it's not that people get paid more outside your city. It's people from outside your city get paid more in your city.
Okay.
So like, they could bring somebody in to DJ, does nothing different from what you do. And they're going to pay the local guy a fraction of what they pay them. That's really what it really is. And of course, you know, like you said, cost of living, pay kind of correlates to that, like just like anywhere, you know, because $300 a night in Dallas doesn't really feel the same as $300 a night in LA, because it's obviously way more expensive out there. You got more expenses and all that. So it's like, but here, like in Dallas, I feel a lot of the places I've played at, I feel like the locals get paid around the same. I think you and I have discussed like how much we get paid at some of our gigs, and it's not too far off. Like, not too far off. Like, even I think the only difference is like you make a little more at some of your gigs, but you also DJ like an hour or two longer than I do. Yeah, I think that's the big difference. Yeah, it's hourly, it doesn't quite add up for enough sometimes, but
because sometimes I'll have a 5-hour gig instead of 4, depending where
sometimes
it's at.
Sometimes I'll have a 3 or 4 hour gig, and I'll still get full night's pay. I I mean, obviously, there's going to be a difference depending on the market. Like, I used to have to get booked monthly to play like whole weekends in like small towns, small college towns. Like, there's a town, Wichita Falls out here, Abilene. I used to get paid to go out there, and they would pay me, like I think it's $500 a night plus cover, whatever my gas or whatever it costs to go out there, and get me a hotel room. They'd cover my meals. But of course, they're local guys that were there any other time, they get $200 because it's a small town. Obviously bigger cities with clubs that make more are gonna pay. I mean, granted, some of the places are gonna try to pay you as little as they can, but they can. But these places can pay more. What I'm basically trying to say.
Yeah. So for yourself, about how many nights a week are you DJing?
Right now, steady, 4.
4 nights a week.
Thursday through Sunday. About to actually start more, but that's only going to be for a while until I find people to put in there, so I don't have to do almost basically every night a week, every night of the week.
Considering cost of living in Dallas, like rent, phone bill, your Disney pass, flights to LA to use your Disney pass.
Yeah.
How many of those 4 nights do you have to do? Like, do you have to do all of them, or does it put a big strain on your budget if you miss a night?
It doesn't put a big strain, mostly because, 3 of those nights are, it's a small bar, but, and obviously they pay like a small bar. It's not like, bottle service club money, but it's decent money for the place. And at this place, I get a lot of tips. So like one night I can double or triple my pay sometimes. So I can miss a night if I have to.
Right.
I prefer not to, just in case something happens, like oh, now I got to repair my car.
Right.
I don't want something to come up and then me start thinking, okay, well, man, all right, I'm going to have to work this many nights to pay it, or I'm going to have to do this to pay it. Like, I'd rather just be able to just take care of it and not have to worry about it, And lately there's been like a bunch of little random things come up where I'm like, oh, man, I got to spend money on this now. I got to spend money on this now. Like, so, and like you said, I still have my pass and my flights to pay to go out there, and sometimes hotel rooms to pay out there.
Right. Is it your sole income or is it your main income as far as DJing goes?
It's at the moment it's still my sole income.
Okay.
But I am turning it into, I'm trying to turn it into my main income, especially now with like this new spots that's opening up, like, and I'm trying to get more of like the entertainment director money.
Right.
To where,
so you get a little something extra on top of it.
Yeah. To where DJing isn't the sole income, but it's the main income. And then eventually maybe switch them to where it's where more the entertainment director side or the management side is the main income, and DJing is just kind of secondary.
Yeah. So kind of the nerdy stuff or the not as fun stuff that a lot of people don't necessarily know about who are coming up. Like, for example, myself, I'm on a DJ rotation of a bunch of DJs, and it's not the bars or venues that pay me. It's the guys who do the bookings. So they pay me, and I get taxed. They send me like the 1099s and all that. So like, what's your typical structure?
I was doing a spot like that, but now I just get paid through the venues directly. But on the flip side, there's another company that books for like restaurants and stuff out here, and like they book for STK, they book for just like indoor miniature golf spot, like and a couple other spots out here. Through them, it's kind of like your rotation work. Like you get booked through them, and then they pay you. Right, venue doesn't.
Are you yourself a company, or are you just doing like sole proprietor?
It's still sole proprietor. I actually have been looking more and more into kind of, I guess, an S corp.
Yeah.
You know, an S corp, you can have one employee and it could be yourself. You know, so I've been looking into that, but I kind of want to wait until I can make a little more through the entertainment director side, and then I can do everything that way and just get paid through that. Because technically, I'd be booking myself through the company and then paying myself through the company.
Coming up in Dallas, DJ wise, I know you did like Red Bull and stuff like that too, right?
Yeah. I did a lot of Red Bull events and I competed in Three Style twice. I used to do a lot of Red Bull events,
and they pay they pay directly.
Yeah, Red Bull does pay directly. Yeah, because anytime Red Bull, it was very rare that any of the Red Bull reps would contact me to play, and the venue would pay. Like the way Red Bull had their account set up, it's like they have kind of a bank, and the more they spend with Red Bull, the more goes into their bank. So like they can afford to do more. Like they can afford to pay, you know, like if it's a bar that does live music, they can afford to pay a band for like a well-known band for a night. Like the way we did it, we had my boy Fisher Price and I had a monthly, but the venue itself was a big Red Bull account. So we were able to do, you know, Fire Poo, and we were able to bring Cheap Shot out to play the after party. Red Bull came to us to like do when they did the Three Style, they used to do, I don't know if they did it over there, but they used to do Three Style University also, where they would just get college kids to compete in Three Style. They came to us to host at one of our nights to have the regional competition there. And of course they paid us for that too. It just depended on the structure, the way Red Bull had it set up with the venue. But most of the big like Red Bull events, like Red Bull sponsored the big St. Patrick's Day block party out here, and Red Bull would pay directly. They would have me play random gigs. Like I did one at in an airplane hangar because they were taking a bunch of their accounts out to fly those little 2-man planes, like to promote the Red Bull Air Race, and that's another one, the Red Bull Air Race. Like they paid directly. Like a bunch of those events paid directly. Like even when Red Bull would bring me out to Vegas to like help do gigs to promote EDC and all that, like it was all directly through Red Bull. None of the venues paid me for any of those. I will say this, for the most part, any of the corporate like money, like the companies like that, Red Bull was the easiest to work with and the easiest to get paid. I did one for a liquor company. It was like a big annual event they do every year, and it took months for me to get paid.
Like a 90-day turnaround type of deal.
No, it took even more than that. It took almost 6 months for me to get paid.
Oh wow.
Yeah. It was, yeah. They kept saying there were like accounting issues and something wrong with my paperwork that I had to file, and like it was just a pain.
Yeah, I had a certain gig that took me about 6 months to get paid also. And I had done gigs for them before, and it was fine before. And I was like, yo, it's just whoever your new management or whatever is, or your company's lagging, or I don't know. Anyways, I won't put anyone on blast today.
Yeah, that's why I didn't say the name of the company, but
right. Yeah. So how do you manage things like health insurance, life insurance, et cetera? Like, what do you do for that?
Life insurance, I mean, AAA offers some pretty good plans.
For life or health?
Life.
Life, okay.
Yeah, life. And then, I mean, obviously, you know, most banks offer life insurance. Like, you can get them through your bank.
Yeah.
But I went the AAA route.
Okay.
Health insurance, believe it or not, I actually don't have it, but I just go to the hospital for checkups and stuff like that, which I actually need to schedule soon, because that's one thing I have been neglecting.
You pay out of pocket then?
Yeah. Because it's not, I mean, I have noticed, and I've noticed, like, I've compared billing when I had health insurance. One time I just had to go in for something, and I was like, you know what? I don't have insurance. Because I didn't want to have to wait for them to be like, oh, well, we need to get your insurance approval and this and that. I was like, so, and it was literally for something that I had already gone in for before. and I noticed they charge a lot more when you have insurance.
Oh yeah.
Like it's ungodly the difference, like how much they charge when you have insurance compared to when you don't. Like
Yeah.
yeah,
They have the real price, and then
the insurance price.
Yeah, and then that price.
Yeah. Well, like so last year I had I don't know if you remember when I was talking to you about it. I ended up getting bronchitis from coughing so much. I pulled a muscle in my back, but I didn't know I just pulled a muscle because when I felt it, it felt like something popped. So I finally went to the emergency room, and you think, oh, emergency room visit, that's going to be a lot just for the visit alone. Then you think X-rays, that's going to be a lot. I mean, hell, they gave me painkillers while I was there. They overcharged for those. They prescribed me meds, which were a lot cheaper than I expected. I think overall with everything, I think I came out of pocket maybe like $400.
Oh, that's like nothing.
Yeah. For an ER visit.
Yeah. Wow. Maybe that's Texas. I don't know.
I paid more when I took my dog to the ER.
Yeah. Oh, I have a story about that. It's for another day too.
Yeah. Well, you've heard my stories about Wicked. So.
Yeah. Multiple.
Yeah.
Yeah. As far as DJing goes, do you think you have like an expiration date on DJing?
I try not to put one on myself, but I know there's a point where I'm just gonna have to be like, all right, I can't do this anymore. Like,
or you maybe approach it in a different way.
Yeah. Like, I know some guys that are older than me that still DJ in clubs, and they love it. They're still fine with it. Like, they have no problem with it, which I don't see anything wrong with it either. But then I see other guys who transition from the clubs to just private and corporate gigs.
Yeah.
I think if anything, maybe I would try transitioning to private and corporate only first. Still try to keep the whole entertainment director thing going. But as far as DJing itself, I'm thinking maybe just try to switch it out up to corporate and private, like, weddings and stuff. Because at the moment, I try not to do too many weddings unless I really have to, or like somebody really wants me to.
Yeah.
So
I'm opposite. I'm trying to do more of those. To be honest,
the ones I've done, I'm actually haven't been too bad because I know how much prep it takes to get for a wedding. You got to have the meetings with the bride, and you got to figure out scheduling, and it all just. Like,
but ultimately,
there's a lot of
and this is me personally as a DJ. Once you get to the DJing part, weddings are way easier to me.
Well, yeah. But here's the thing. So it was for a friend of mine, and I told him, I told him straight up, I was like, hey, I hate doing weddings. I was like, but I'll do yours if you're not expecting like a discount, like a homie discount for a wedding or something like that. And like, because there's a lot of, because I explained to him too. I like, this is what's going to go into it. You're gonna have to meet with your fiance, multiple times, work out, what songs you're gonna go with what. And then we got to figure out whether she's going to want me there playing music for the ceremony, as everybody's walking in, or am I going to need to provide anything for the priest to, a microphone or anything for the priest? Am I going to need to do this? Am I going to do this? And he was like, no, he's like, I get it. I understand. So I charged him enough to where I made more than enough to where missing my gig for that night wasn't a problem. I was able to pay the MC. I was able to pay for equipment rental and setup. And not only that, but the MC with his fee came, or he actually handled everything. He went and met with the bride, worked out the whole schedule for the day.
Right.
And I just had to show up and DJ and get paid.
Nice. Based on your own struggles and hurdles and navigating like the DJ, solo DJ, entrepreneur type of world, what are some words of advice you can give to people? Without, I know it's such a cliche thing to ask, but.
No, it sounds like a cliche thing to ask, but I mean, with any career, it's like, make sure that's what you really want to do, because it's something that you're going to be doing for a while. or at least you'd hope to, and you want to be happy doing it, you know. And that's one thing I've been lucky to be able to play music for a living. I'm playing other people's music, but I still get to play music for a living. And I basically get to party for a living. But the thing is, you have to make sure you really want to do it, and then once you figure that out, at some point you're gonna have to fully commit. Like you're gonna have to fully commit. Like, you know, the whole thing with me just finally realizing, okay, I can do this for a living, and I just never got another day job. Like at some point you're gonna have to fully commit and put all your time and energy into it, because it's not, if you want to make a living at it, it's just like any other business. You have to put the time and work into it. Right. And you can't do it if you can't do that if it's just gonna be a hobby.
It's all true.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, let them know where they can find you.
Find me on Instagram, Threads. Actually, just recently deleted my Twitter account because there's really nothing good going on there anymore. So Twitter, Threads, Facebook, Snapchat, everything. DJ NVS. Just DJ and then 3 letters NVS. That's it.
All right. Thank y'all for tuning in. Tuning in because we used to do the radio show. This is a podcast. Thank y'all for listening or watching.
Listening, watching, tuning in,
wherever you catch
you
us. Functional Conversations, The Function LA. Check the end card, and we'll see you next time.